Correctional Officer Pantsu reporting for duty. Somebody posted cringe? Stop right there, cunt! I got you! This is what you get for being a cringe cunt. You're coming with me.
To be self-aware means to be able to see yourself from the outside. To understand the way that your actions look to other people, which you can only do by understanding other people enough to know how they would react to something. If you don't understand others, then you can't understand how you're perceived, which is why autistic people struggle with developing self-awareness. They're so locked in their own heads that they can't see things from someone else's perspective, and therefore don't understand what they're doing wrong. In order to deep dive all of the ways that an autistic person can fail at self-awareness, I'll be diving into one of the biggest hotbeds of autism on the internet, Kiwi Farms. Now, speaking as a proud autist myself, I love the farms. It's always nice to know what people hate about you, so you can think about how to change your presentation for the better. Even if someone criticizes you in a stupid and wrong way, you can at least get a sense of the underlying sentiment behind their disdain, and try to figure out what changes in your communication would abet their misunderstanding. Plus, it's really fucking funny to watch my wife, all of my friends, and all of my favorite podcast hosts get routinely dunked on. Today, in fact, we'll be diving into my wife's Kiwi Farms page to highlight the post of a particular user who recently created an account on the site, primarily for the sake not just of posting in this thread, but specifically for the sake of attempting to pitch me, your demi-boy Pantsu party, as a lol cow. Moi? The user in question, named It's All So Tiresome, reveals their lack of self-awareness with the very first phrase of their second post in the thread. I wasn't planning on posting so soon. There is absolutely no one for whom this sentence conveys any meaningful information. We have no idea who you are and no concept of why you were holding off on posting in the first place, much less give a shit that you decided to do so now. On its own, this statement would be almost baffling, if not for the fact that it would soon become clear what she meant. As 2 days later, she made the post that she intended to be her first, the Pantsu Party lolcow pitch. The post is framed as an info dump, which is curious considering that it's structured the same way as an OP post on the farms, even bothering to mention all of my cow crossovers, which is required when starting a new thread. Maybe she felt that making a new thread, when she's an obviously new account created for this purpose, wouldn't go over well. Whatever the case, I'm not sure what she was thinking posting these incredibly hot pictures of me. The post is riddled with factual inaccuracies, of course. I did not go to school in Oklahoma, and I certainly did not learn to hate normies by joining a sorority. In fact, I joined it hoping to become more of a normie, and it didn't really work out that way. All in all, the post is fairly banal, in spite of a clear level of high effort that goes into all of this person's posts on Kiwi Farms. I wish I was joking, but here we are. Things really start to get interesting though in the next post, where the user reveals more of her hand. Deep down, Digi and May both wish they were Mother's Basement and his GF. May is insecure that Tenlead is the A-list Annie-tuber's successful arm candy GF who gets them Coomer bucks. Reading this sentence was honestly shocking and a little bit mesmerizing. I know this user is new to the farms, but you do not suck the dicks of other lolcows when you talk about someone on the farms. In fact, I don't think there's a single mention of the name Tenlead on the entire website besides this person's post, which doesn't also include the words slut, whore, or e-prostitute. Moreover, what in God's name is an A-list Annie-tuber? Being an Annie-tuber means you're not even on the list, much less anywhere near the first letter of it. scraping a career off a convention appearance is the literal definition of a D-lister. I wasn't the only one who felt this dissonance. The responses were quick to remind that shitting on Jeff and Tenlead is, in fact, the best thing about Digi and May, because literally everyone hates those retards, specifically because of their lack of self-awareness. The insistence on using Mother Basement as a positive means of comparison and explaining the decline of Digibro is also massively suspicious. I just have to wonder, what kind of person would have the incentive to present their argument this way? It was after this post came out that I felt it necessary to investigate this user. What else were they looking at on the farms? Aside from camping in the Digi thread for long stretches of the day when she's online, the only other thread they're active in is the one about cosplayer Yumi King, which she also seemed intent on kicking alive again, dunking on her for being bad at being pregnant and for having weird acne issues over the past year for using some cheap makeup. You know, it's funny. This post came right around the same time that someone I follow on Twitter was bragging about her obsessive skincare routine. After her last post, Digi's thread kind of quieted down, but luckily a certain someone was planning to drop a pretty massive announcement about their gender identity, which was guaranteed to get the farms a-buzzin'. Surprisingly though, even though It's All So Tiresome had been stalking the thread for the whole previous day, which I had known because the farm literally tells you what page someone is currently looking at, they were offline almost the entire day when the announcement was made, even noting this fact upon return. What could have distracted this person so much to take them away from the internet all day? You know, it's funny, because that was also the same day that someone I follow on Twitter had spent the whole day at Jiffy Lube trying to get their car fixed. Strange coincidences, these things. Internet's transphobic outpouring, It's All So Tiresome claims not to care about Digi's transition, but is nonetheless jarred and alienated by the suddenness of this change, in spite of not only having stated her expectation for Digi to go trans just a few days prior, and in spite of the general audience response being a total lack of surprise, given Digi's almost constant statements about gender confusion and fluidity over the years. She also continues to suggest that Digi's money is drying up, as if she somehow knows all of her revenue streams and what's kept in the bank of the most cautious person I've ever met. In a stunning lack of awareness, she even interprets Digi's joke about the true story of her therapist dying with complete seriousness. By this point in the thread, I had a pretty solid idea of who this person is and what they're insecure about. They feel they need to put an extreme level of effort into everything they do in order to be validated, because they have no self-love and clearly aren't getting enough attention or care from their spouse, since they're posting on the farms. They're obsessed with money to the point that they could critique the earnings of someone making at least, by their own description and showing her Patreon numbers, $3,000 a month, which is a middle-class American salary. That's what Digi makes doing literally whatever the hell she wants. But something was missing. If this person was who I thought they were, then they would definitely have a big problem with the fact that I'm a fan of lolly drawings. I was shocked that it didn't come up, until of course they started posting every single time that Digi retweeted anyone drawing her as an anime girl. Apparently, Digi wanting her real life to resemble this adorable drawing of me doing her hair is creepy. God only knows what the fuck weird shit this bitch was projecting onto that image. Almost as weird as that time Jeff Thu made a video about his favorite anime waifus, and they were all underage. Her last post critiques my makeup job on Digi. I'm not sure she actually watched the video, considering she took it as some big reveal, and knocks my job by comparing the look to Edward Scissorhands, even though the point of it was literally to make Digi goth. And she talks through the entire video about how much she looks like Robert Smith from The Cure, which is who Edward Scissorhands is based on. So, thanks for the compliment, I guess. You know, reading through all these posts again, I expected to be angry, but in all honesty, I find this person's sad existence really depressing. I'm sure they must be going through something really rough, so they're feeling so insecure about themselves that they need to dedicate large swaths of their afternoon to very poorly and honestly almost endearingly attempt to troll me on the farms. It reminds me of this girl I follow on Twitter, whom I've been really worried about. With her spouse's dad in the hospital and all the madness in the world with the COVID lockdown, she's been struggling to find her balance and running on a low tank. It seems like she might have found a way to start turning things around, but I'm not so sure. I just hope that both of them can get the emotional support they're so desperately craving, so they can find the time and space to really work on learning to like themselves. It wasn't an easy battle for me or for my wife, but we've been the happiest either of us has ever been, not just in our time together, but especially in the past year as we've worked towards being more honest and bettering ourselves. It's been extremely gratifying to work my creative muscles on May, and inspiring to watch Digi to continue to try new things, and revel in the experimentation which has helped so many other people come to terms with their own similar feelings of doubt. It's also Tiresome's first post on the farms were both highly critical of Digi's Devil Lady Dance Classics album. But maybe she could stand to take a second listen to these lyrics. Brace yourself and go. I've survived so long. You've been through the cold. Now it's time to grow. Pure white gives to green. Be a living thing. Seek not for the light. Find it deep inside. I could be a ratchet hoe, or I can be in style. I could be anything, but a stupid fucking cunt like 10 lead. Get fucked, you idiot. Hey guys, just a quick little update. It looks like she's changed her name, the account name, not the handle, on Twitter to @bestgirlyazzy. I wonder why she would change her name at this time.